Good morning, everyone. Hope you have your coffee with you. My honorable colleagues, good morning. Um, so my child was born stateless. He's 12 years old now, but when he was born in Beijing, he was actually born in a third country. So I was living in Beijing at that time. And unfortunately, my son could not get my citizenship by operation of law. So he couldn't get Malaysian citizenship. He couldn't get his father's citizenship, so he couldn't get Hong Kong citizenship by operation of law. And he could not get the citizenship of the country that he was born in, which is China. So what was supposed to be a wonderful time for me, welcoming a new baby, turned out to be a nightmare. We've heard so much from all the guests so far in the first part of the day, first part of the summit. But I wanted to bring to life what it actually means for an impacted person, right? If you go to the the agenda in the concept note in the background, right? Second paragraph, look at it. It talks about the impact of discriminatory nationality laws. And it says that it will impact your access to education. So what did that mean for Reese? Reese is the name of my boy, Rais perhaps in Arabic. So Reese, when he was going to turn 6, right? It was time for him to go to school. He was going to start year 1. And I went to public school and I asked, hi, I would like to register my son for the upcoming year's enrollment. And they said, madam, no problem. Your son can enter Malaysian public schools, but you have to wait. You have to wait until all the other kids are enrolled, and then we'll check for you if there is a spot for your son. So I said, okay, that's not a problem. So how long will this take? And they informed me, 2 months, madam. And I was told that he would have to go through this procedure every year of his schooling life. We go to school for 11 years in Malaysia, yeah? Primary and secondary school. And so I counted, if my boy loses 2 months every year, he will, at the end of his high school, only complete 9 years of education. He will miss 2 full years. And this was not acceptable for me because my son is an introvert. He's very shy. He's a very quiet boy. And I don't want him to be left behind when he goes into school. All the kids would already have friends. They would already learn their 1, 2, 3's ABCs, and he would already be left behind. So you put a barrier in front of a kid at their formative years. These are such important years. So this is education, number 1. Number 2 is accessing healthcare. Again, we can access public healthcare in Malaysia, right? Not a problem. But what does it really mean, right? We'll go to the details. So one day my son was not feeling well. Reese was not feeling well. And when the kids cry, you say, okay, they can still have a voice, so they're okay. But when they are weak, they can't speak, they're close to fainting, that's when you really worry about them. And that happened to us, right? So I took him to the emergency room, very, very concerned. And they said, oh, madam, your son, non-citizen, here's the charge for your deposit for the admission fee. And it was 5 times the cost of what it should have been for him. And so here I was with a sick child, and bam, here's your bill before your child can be admitted, before we can inspect him. Yes, so that was really, really painful for me because, you're dealing with something so important, and yet here, it's just a really slap in the face. Another aspect is access to financial services. So in Malaysia, we have different celebrations. We have Chinese New Year, we have Eid, and we get, the kids, what they get are little envelopes of cash, right? Five ringgit, 10 ringgit, they collect them. And it's a norm that, after the celebrations, you take your money, you go to the bank, you deposit it, they learn about concepts of interest-bearing savings account. And he couldn't do that, right? So we had piles of cash for years because the kid, he could not open a bank account. Reese, he only got his bank account after he gained his citizenship. This journey has taken me 10 years. 10 years, right? So it really impacted me in such deep ways, right? And I thought, here I am, I'm able to still handle this. But what about the mothers who can't? What about those who are in much more difficult situations than I am? What about them, right? So that's when it really hit me. So I'll run you through the advocacy works that have been done in Malaysia. Essentially, this is the problem statement, right? We have 3 problem statements in Malaysia. Women can't, can't grant citizenship to their children on an equal basis of men. That's number 1. Number 2 is Malaysia also discriminates not just against women, but also against men, right? And for our dear male citizens, they are unable to confer citizenship to their children by operation of law if the children is born outside a legally recognized marriage. And this is a huge problem. The numbers are much, much larger than the mother's issue. Number 3 is related to foreign spouses of Malaysian women. Yeah. So I'll go into item number 1, which is the topic for our summit today: impact on women, right? Vulnerability to abuse, to a lifetime of bureaucracy, increased costs, autonomy, brain drain. Unfortunately, I can tick all the boxes up there. I'll center on your right side the 2 points up there, right? Lack of autonomy to just stay where I'm at. I think a lot of us here are in the sandwich generation. We take care of the elders, our parents, but we also take care of the young ones. And I had the privilege to come home and take care of my parents, right? But my child didn't have Malaysian citizenship. So I was always wondering, what am I going to do? When am I going to get kicked out? Because if you kick out my son, you kick me out too. But I want to stay because my parents are here, right? So that was really difficult. Item number 2 about brain drain, and we talk about national development. So I don't do civil society work professionally. I'm a cyber expert. I specialize in a niche area called cyber fusion intelligence. It's the intersection between cybercrime, fraud, and financial crime. So I think I can be employed anywhere in the world. Malaysia lacks 12,000 cyber experts. Globally, we are short of 4 million cyber experts. And you want to kick me out of my country because you don't value my contribution? Right? No. So this was really an issue that we had to bring to the government, that a lot of the women, we bring so much to the economy. We pay the same amount of taxes. Don't you want us home? Don't you want to bring us home? Right? So that's one point, a really important point. So that was impact to women. Now, the Family Frontiers court case. If I could give these images a name, I would call them the catalyst, right? Because Family Frontiers, as a civil society organization, along with 6 mothers, and I'm one of the mothers, brought a strategic lawsuit against the government of Malaysia to seek an interpretation of the Constitution. Because I think a lot of us, actually in our respective countries, we have this issue where one part of the Constitution says legal equality, no gender discrimination. Another part of the Constitution says citizenship only for men, the children of men, right? So what the gist and the heart of this court case was, we wanted to seek an interpretation. How do we harmonize these two seemingly different positions. How do we interpret this? Right? So that was the basis of the court case. This was just 4 years ago, December 2020. And in September 2021, the courts, I have to give it to them, they expedited our case. We had a decision by September of the next year, and it was granted in our favor, right? And this was the day history was made. Because we knocked on government's door, they did not respond. So we knocked on the doors of legal justice, and they answered our door, right? We won the court case, and it was an amazing declaration because it said all women should be treated as men. Fathers also means mothers, right? So, and as a result of the court case, oh, that's me and Reese, by the way. That's after we got our citizenship certificate for him. He had no idea what was happening. He said, okay, I'll just come with you. Do I really have to wear this shirt? So it was quite funny because he was quite clueless. Unfortunately, the government appealed. Yeah. So they appealed, it went to the Court of Appeals, and we lost at the Court of Appeals, right? It was a big blow to the mothers. But one of the big wins from this was that the public started taking interest. They said, what's up with the moms? What do they want? Why are they asking for? And we shared the stories, right? I shared my story. And all the other mothers started sharing their stories. And it wasn't just about the plaintiffs, it was about different moms. And the public started to take interest. They were asking questions like, hey, so did Adlyn's son manage to get into school? Right? They were following the stories. And so when we lost at the Court of Appeals, there was outrage, right? Why are you doing this to the moms? Why are you doing this to the kids? It was so interesting. So really, this was the catalyst. Moving on. Now, just yesterday, our case was heard at the federal court. Yeah. And even though the constitutional amendment had been passed in Parliament, the case was still ongoing. Yeah? So there was no decision yesterday. We were asked to reach a settlement with the government, which we are still framing. So that's really, really positive. And we're so excited for this. So we'll go to the next slide. Now, this is really momentous. This is a picture of our parliament, and we have our fellow parliamentarian here from Malaysia. Now, what happened? So timing really matters. I just want to say timing really matters. After our court case, our country went for general elections, right? And that was so important because here's an issue about women. Now you are all seeking re-election. Who's going to champion the issue of these women that has been so loud, right? So all major political parties, the big ones, yeah, they said, I'll take up this issue. I will champion for your rights. And they added this to their manifesto. Incredible. And we were so shocked, right? Because this is such a small fringe issue, yet they said, hey, we'll take this up. This is our issue on women. And today, the government of the day can say that they made history. They are the government that put this groundbreaking law into practice. It's really amazing. So just last month, the lower house voted almost unanimously, right? Everyone came. And it was very important because in Malaysia right now, some people say that our prime minister has a slim majority, right? And they said, well, you know, does he really have the authority to still be there? And so this was really a test for him because with any constitutional amendment in Malaysia, you need 2/3 majority, right? 2/3 majority, lower house 2/3 majority, upper house. If you do not have the confidence of parliament, you can be booted out, right? But amazing, amazing work by the government of the day, by the MPs. It was almost unanimous, just one protest vote because our amendment was coupled with some regressive amendments. And in the Senate, just last Tuesday, 50 out of 50 senators voted yes. Truly, truly incredible and so proud. I wanted to make a remark that the government of the day that actually appealed our court case actually came back to us and say, hey, we may not be the government that made this law, but we were there to initiate the studies. So don't forget that we contributed. So everyone wants a claim to fame now, right? No, I did it. No, I did it. I want to be the hero. So it's really, really great to see that, the support came. That's great, It's a collective effort with those in power and the opposition. So it's really incredible. We'll go on to the next slide, please. So what does this mean? This means that's our prime minister right there with my mother, Bibi. Bibi has her child was born in the US, and she couldn't get Malaysian citizenship for him. So this means that children who are born to Malaysian mothers overseas can now confer citizenship to their children by operation of law, right? But it's not retroactive. That means all the mothers who have been fighting so hard will not benefit from this. But our government said, hey, they've looked around. Usually laws are made to be prospective. Mm-hmm. So where can we find a middle ground to see what we can do for those left behind? And those are the terms of settlement that we are discussing with the government now. Yeah. Also, it's important because the Minister of Home Affairs said we will expedite the applications, right, of those who have submitted prior to the amendment. But remember that the minister's commitment that is made in Parliament through the Hansard is not legally binding. Yeah, it's in the Hansard, but it's not legally binding. So that's why it's very important that we get, we work together and have a solution for those who are left behind. So that's how we're moving forward. Unfortunately, the bill contained some what we call regressive amendments. And these are some of them. I won't talk about them too much. But I'll talk about what has been done to get us to here today. We talk about timelines, right? How long does it take to amend your constitution? We're not talking about amending guidelines, policies, procedures, even amendments, right? But we're acts. But we're talking about amending the constitution. So from the time we launched the lawsuit to the time that we have received majority vote in the parliament, less than 4 years. Less than 4 years, yeah? Incredible, just incredible. So it was a multi-pronged approach done by Family Frontiers. We engaged with a lot of stakeholders. The media played a big, big role. So our issue was picked up by major media, the newspapers, in all different languages, because we have Malay, Chinese, Tamil, all languages. They put mothers' faces front and center, so people could see who this is really about, right? We engage with the parliamentarians, so important. And I'll touch on this later. Public awareness, service delivery, and also peer support networks. Yeah, we really supported the mothers as well. Now, here is our Honorable Minister of Home Affairs in his peach baju Melayu. Amazing man. No home minister had dared to take this up. This gentleman said, I will do it. I will take this, that's something so controversial, so divisive, but I will take it up. And it is really incredible because everyone wanted to avoid this topic, right? Who wants to touch, citizenship acts, right? It's too sensitive. Let's be real, right? It's really sensitive. He did, and he has gained so many more supporters. We know who will be re-elected in the next elections. Incredible man, incredible man. We also engaged with ministries that were not in charge of this portfolio. And it's really important because it was the Ministry of Home Affairs that was in charge of this, but we also engaged with the Ministry of Women, Community Development, and the Ministry of Law and Parliamentary Reform. Yeah, that was really critical. So, cooperating with them, giving policy briefs, bringing the mothers. And this is us in Parliament, lobbying the MPs, both in government and opposition, really explaining the issue, speaking to them, just saying, hey, that there's me there saying I'm the impacted mother, and here's a picture of my son. So it really helps, right? We also engage with parliamentary special select committees. So there were special sessions on that as well. And so now here we are engaging with the Ministry of Home Affairs and obviously the National Registration Department, very, very critical, right? But we forged such good relationships. We've met in the middle, right? And it's really, it's so wonderful because you'll see later, we do a lot of things with them now. This is, again, the mothers going out during general elections to lobby with candidates. So we have Esther there on your right. That's Esther. This is her daughter, Mia. Mia was born in Germany. She has an Indonesian father. She's really cute. And it was really sad. Mia also couldn't go to school, right? It was, she had her uniform all ironed out. Going back to school is such a big deal in Malaysia, but she couldn't go to school because of the issue. This is Rachel's son. So he was born in the UK. He also waited 10 years. Just like Reese, he waited 10 years to get his citizenship. Far too long to put children in such difficult situations, not to mention their mothers. Now, we also utilize parliamentary responses to collect data. That was one of the issues we had. It's like, and for a lot of MPs as well, they also didn't have access to data, right? So this is where we really work together to see how we can strengthen and the narrative, right? How big is the issue? Where does it impact? What is the breakdown of demographics like? So this was really, really helpful. And last but not least is building the community of affected persons. We performed a lot of film screenings. We had films with the general public in universities, almost very often we had marches, events. This is our Independence Day celebration. So I just want you to observe, 2022, we celebrated Independence Day with some members of parliament. They came in solidarity, supported us. We were at a public park, we waved the flags. We sang together our national anthem. And in 2024, we are celebrating with the Ministry of Home Affairs. It is such a wonderful, we talk about strengthening partnerships. And I'm so glad to say that in Malaysia, we have really strengthened the partnerships between civil society, government, and MPs. Really wonderful. So happy to be here today. It was International Human Rights Day yesterday. This was us, the children were reading poetry out in KL just 2 years ago. And last but not least, we have built a support system for mothers because it's really stressful, right? It's difficult times. So we have a WhatsApp group, we meet, we share stories, and we support each other through quite practical hurdles, right? Through bureaucracy, what forms to fill up, how do I get student visa for my child, whatnot. So this has been the journey of Malaysia. Mothers have come out to speak. They've built their confidence. They know that the personal is political, right? And we've learned that in Malaysia. So it's been really quite a journey. And I encourage you to please be the champion of this topic. Our government today can so proudly say that this is their legacy, right? Really, it is this administration. So we thank from the bottom of our hearts the administration of today. Thank you for your time.